first time morning music ever generated such applause.
Exactly.
Good thing I had a good teacher.
Good work, team.
Since we have a minute or two, do you know that thing that Schroeder plays on Peanuts?
No. What does he play?
I don't know. Matt, do you know it? Da, 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 yeah.
It's like a Christmas.
Huh.
All right, well, brush up on that one.
I'll have to brush up on that one.
I'll Google it.
Okay, yeah. Let's see what it is.
The 20th Century Fox Fanfare.
Huh.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I feel like it's wonderful to look out and see not a large crowd, but such a really intent crowd listening to my every word, expecting some pearls of wisdom. I hope you're not too disappointed. My name is Rob Peck, and I am honored to be your worship host, and I am delighted to welcome those of you who are here in person. And Matt, do we have any folks joining us online?
Yes, this morning we have Ellen Blanchette, Gary and Christy, and Sandra joining us on Zoom.
Great. Warm welcome to them as well. So, a couple of tiny bits of housekeeping. Those of you who are here relatively for either your first time or just a few times, if you are interested in learning a little bit more about All Souls and how we make this place happen, there are a couple of us who are in leadership positions who would be happy to talk with you. Those of us who are in leadership positions, can we raise our hands? So you know where to find us. Russ, who greeted you, is also in a leadership position. And there's also information in the back about Unitarian Universalism in general and All Souls in particular. And last but not least, in the order of service that I'm hoping most of you got when you came in, there's occasionally, let's see if there are any. Yes, there are a couple of upcoming events that are right handy dandy here in the back of your service, order of service. And we will have a little coffee hour and some snacks afterwards. And here, too, you're very warmly welcome. And today only, no cost. No, I'm teasing. It's never any cost. All right. So for all of us, maybe myself in particular, a moment to just take in the spiritual grace of this place that we're sitting in, this sanctuary with its stained glass windows that took hours of craftsmanship and imagination to conceive, literally gargoyles and chandeliers and just beautiful ways in which we've tried, all of us collectively and some in particular, to really just bring beauty and a sense of spiritual grace to our sanctuary. And so now it's a chance to do something you're already doing, which is breathing, but to breathe intentionally, to take a moment to really relish the simple miracle of oxygen and being able to bring it into your lungs deeply, and to use that as a kind of conduit to really getting centered, to really letting yourself fully arrive and be present. To be focused, to be at peace, and in the words of Reverend Kathleen Mateague, we're here to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next and the next moment, and claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude. Taking the time to look into one another's faces, and in this house of laughter and silence, memory and hope, make it hallowed by our communal presence. I'm going to invite our guest speaker, Jim Levinson, who also doubles as our musician, to help us really fully take in this moment, to come here, to be centered, and use the prelude as kind of a passport to inner peace.
And before we do that, I wonder, it would be so wonderful to have some young people in the front here. Is it possible that we could ask you people to come forward? First, second row, whatever you like.
Thank you, Jim. Now I'd like to ask all the young people in the front to move back toward... I'm teasing. But I would like all of us to have a moment to greet in the four directions, and what we mean by that is a chance to stand and notice somebody nearby, and if you're comfortable, give them a hug, shake hands, just smile. But let's take a moment to stand, all of us, and greet as many people as we can all around us.
Matt, welcome.
All right, thank you very much. If you can go back to your seats, except the young people have to stay in these seats. So I'm not going to say anything that's going to shock you, but spiritualism has a lot of symbolism, and one of our most symbolic gestures is to welcome in light through the stained glass windows and also through the practice of lighting our chalice, or as our chalice lighter and her best friend are about to demonstrate, the chalice. Yes. And symbolically, it kindles a spark that lights a small flame. Metaphorically, it's a chance to spread light twice. First, with the light that shines out from the candle, and second, from the light we feel within that warms our hearts and knits us in a sense of community. We're now going to sing a song with a title that sadly is all too applicable to people who are oppressed. And there too, oppression shows up in many forms. The same light that shines can also cast shadows. It's hymn number 151. I think it was written by Billy Taylor, and it's called "I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free." And Jim, you found a way to make it even a little more singable for us, so can you demonstrate a little bit what we're all going to try to do?
Sure enough, I'll sing it through once. I wish it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things I could say it loud, say it clear, for the hope
Also in your order of service is our congregational covenant. I'll kick it off with the line that's underlined, and then I'd love to hear all of you saying the next, I think, 7 or 9 lines in unison. In this house, we covenant with one another to create a community built on a foundation of love, to work together to promote equality, justice, and peace, accepting responsibility for our individual acts, to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of the oppressed, and working to end discrimination and unjust privilege, to communicate with kindness and support, and to serve with compassion and commitment, to learn respectfully and value our diversity as a source of our collective strength, to learn and grow together, generously sharing our time, talents, and treasures, to celebrate the joys of discovery, from the wonder of youth to the wisdom of age, to openly share our laughter and our tears, showing reverence for the divine in all that is. Thank you. And in the spirit of being as generous as you are able, we're going to take up an offertory, and to inspire you to be even more generous, Jim is going to play some fundraising music. Thank you, brother. Just before you recite your poem, which I think you probably should do from up here, are you doing the Rumi verse where it says outside ideas of right and wrongdoing?
It's a different one.
Good. As you're coming up, I'll do that one. So we're going to have a double Rumi today, my favorite Persian poet, and one of his shortest, but in some ways most memorable poems says, out beyond ideas of right and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
So Rumi, as most of you know, was a 13th century Sufi mystic and poet. These are Rumi's words of wisdom about greeting strangers arriving at our shores. Rumi writes, "We, being human, are a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes. Each stranger has been sent to us as a gift from God. Let's just repeat those last words together. Each stranger has been sent to us as a gift from God.
So, partly as a prelude to Jim's sermon, which will be on immigrants, and partly because it ties together one of my favorite parts of our congregational covenant, and frankly, the one that took us the longest to agree on and find the right languaging for. It says, to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of the oppressed, and working to end discrimination and unjust privilege. With that in mind, I picked a hymn that probably is going to be difficult to sing, but it has a theme that's just so interwoven with what we hope this service will bring. It simply says our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes, who love, hate, we make a bridge or a wall. And those are just the first two verses. There's two more after that. So Jim, maybe you can give us a little feel for how this goes. Hymn number 134.
Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that
That was both creative and courageous. Glad you gave that one such a hearty attempt. And now I am delighted to call our own beloved Jim Levinson, to share today's sermon.
So, while the heartbreaking arrests of immigrants, you understand about immigrants being arrested these days? While this has been much in the news, one of the government's actions which perhaps has not received the attention that it deserves is his total banning entrance to the United States for persons from 12 countries, and his restricting entrance to persons from 7 other countries, an order sometimes referred to as the Muslim ban. I find myself thinking about the ban again as I read about Zoran Mamdani. Do you know who he is? The new mayor of New York City, whom our president calls a 100% communist lunatic. Mamdani was born in Africa, and today might not even have been permitted to enter the United States. We think also of persons in these countries who are in terrible need and are seeking to enter our country as refugees. Persons who have been the victims of terrible abuse by their governments. Children unlikely to survive in the countries because of the termination of USAID health programs. Nicholas Kristof reminds us that a child dies of malnutrition every 15 seconds in poor countries, while 185,000 boxes of special food for starving children are stacked in a warehouse in Rhode Island. Meanwhile, ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which has heartlessly pursued immigrants in this country, now has an estimated 60,000 persons in detention. And imagine this, an annual budget which is larger than the combined police budgets of all of this country's cities and states. Larger than the combined budgets of all of them. The words of Rumi return to us. Let's offer them again together. Each stranger has been sent to us as a gift from God. During the previous administration, a large number of refugees from Afghanistan were settled in the United States. Roughly 14,000 through September 2024, many of them in nearby southern Vermont. Most of these refugees were from families which had worked alongside American service members in resisting the dreadful offenses of the Taliban. Donald Trump suspended such refugee settlement on his first day in office. The harsh restriction of immigrants and refugees in desperate need, sadly, also has been part of our past. Let's look a bit at that history. A congressional act in 1924, 100 years ago, supported by such public figures as Henry Ford and Charles Lindbergh, implemented what were called national origin quotas. You were okay if you came from Northern or Western Europe, but if you came from Southern Europe or Eastern Europe or from any other continent, you would in all likelihood be rejected. Just for fun, how many of us trace our ancestral origins to someplace other than Northern or Western Europe, somewhere other than England, France, the Netherlands, or Scandinavia? Oh, hi, brothers and sisters. We're lucky to be here. How many of you have seen the Ken Burns documentary, The U.S. and the Holocaust? Ken Burns said, by the way, after he made that if he never made another film, he would feel that his life is fulfilled having made that film. Among many other horrors, the film describes in lurid detail attempts by Jews under Nazi rule to seek refuge in our country and being refused entry. The film, imagine this, actually begins with the father of Anne Frank trying yet again to get visas for his family to enter the United States and being refused. Anne Frank, you know the name? It's worth reading about her, an extraordinary young girl. Between 1939 and 1941, more than 300,000 Jews born in Germany joined waiting lists for immigration visas to this country. Only a tiny portion of them were admitted. And you'll remember the story of the MS St. Louis, a ship carrying over 900 Jewish refugees who were denied entry by the U.S. and by other countries. The ship was forced to return to Europe, where many of the passengers perished in the Holocaust. The American public sadly placed little pressure on the president or the Congress to increase immigration and to aid these European Jews. There was little support even for a bill introduced in Congress in 1939 seeking to admit 20,000 refugee children under the age of 14 to the United States. This despite the backing of Eleanor Roosevelt and such groups as the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, the National Refugee Service, the Emergency Rescue Committee, the American Friends Service Committee, and the Unitarian Service Committee. How we wish they had heard those words of Rumi. Let's offer them again. Each stranger has been sent to us as a gift from God. Let's return to the present day and conclude with a few somewhat hopeful stories about Afghan refugees that did make it to this country. In Afghanistan, there was a young teacher named Omar Hassan, who saw that many of the children in his own Afghan community were not being sent to school and instead were sent to work so they could earn money and support their families. Hassan decided he had to try to do something about that. And so he went to families with a little more money and asked them to help pay the school fees for those local children whose families couldn't afford to send them to school, and even to provide some support to the children's families to make up for the income that their children didn't earn when they stopped working. Hassan still remembers the name of every child that they helped. A few years later, Hassan decided to take things one step further. Do you know who else wasn't allowed to go to school in Afghanistan? Girls. Girls were not allowed to go to school. He opened his own school in a small Afghan town and hired teachers who were willing to educate children from poor families regardless of the child's gender, regardless of whether it was a boy or a girl. Not surprisingly, not everyone was happy about this. One day while walking to work, Hassan was kidnapped by the local Taliban group. The Taliban offered to release Hassan only if he agreed to stop educating girls. Hassan said, "No, I'm not going to do that." Horrified that Hassan had disappeared, the children in the school themselves, together with their families, banded together and started searching for him. And when they finally found him, they managed to get his release and brought him back to their school. Hassan bravely continued running the school until a larger Taliban contingent forced him to flee. So the same fellow Hassan is now living in our country, in the state of Indiana. And he is helping out in schools there. He's attending school himself in the evenings, and he's hoping one day to be able to return to Afghanistan and to the children there in such desperate need. Maybe we need someone like Hassan to help give us some fresh perspective. Hassan, who has in the course of his journey learned a lot about our American history, might remind us that forces and individuals who worked against the best ideals of our country in the past didn't last long. He might list the ostracizing of Joseph McCarthy's communist witch hunt. Ask your family to tell you about that if you don't know. It's quite a story. The defeat of the white supremacists seeking to block civil rights, the inevitable end of the Vietnam War, and the shamed exit of Richard Nixon after Watergate. He would have no doubt at all that the governmental horrors of the present day will not last long. Indeed, Hassan might suggest that just maybe, instead of this time marking an end of much that we cherish in America, it might instead mark a beginning, a recognition by Americans of the vital importance of some of these values that we have for so long taken for granted. And he might remind us of those sacred words of Rumi. Let's offer them one last time. Each stranger has been sent to us as a gift from God. And finally, you kids are going to like this. Finally, a sweet bit about my own area near Brattleboro. Linda, at age 74, was never married and never had children, although she desperately longed for them all her life. Then, with the arrival of the first refugees from Afghanistan, Linda, on an impulse, decided to welcome two of them into her home. The girls, Nada and Sahela, turned out to be a gift beyond anything Linda could have imagined. She told me that on Mother's Day, the girls presented her with balloons and with flowers. I took a chance, Linda told me, and making that commitment turned out to be the best thing I ever did. And then, with tears in her eyes, she said, "I am being called Mama for the first time." Amen.
How I pray that all of the Trumpian travails are just clearing us out for something better is going to come. So, on a hopeful note, we'd like to sing hymn number 121, "We'll Build a Land." And the words also are no coincidence. It's meant to reinforce the uplift at the end of Jim's sermon and the uplift at the end of Rumi's poem. It's hymn number 211. Oh, sorry, 121.
I'll play it through once first.
Thank you. So we've come to one of our final sections, and in many ways, it's our most communal section because it isn't about me or Jim, it's about any of you who is carrying something that's either a tough thing that by sharing might somehow feel as if it's getting some support from the rest of us here, and also maybe something joyful or hopeful that also it can feel really positive to be able to put out and have people hear and share in some of your joy. So it's a section that, with that in mind, we call Joys and Concerns. In a minute, it looks like David's going to light candles. Bless you. I'll bring around this microphone. And one quick technical note. If you hold the mic near where this light is, you will essentially turn the mic off. We all do it. It won't make you a bad person. There'll be no purgatory, I promise. But if that happens to you, if you might just take a look, and if you find this little button and press it again, isn't it great how the universe gives us second chances? And lastly, it's also something that seems to be almost a temptation that if you are at all nervous, as I obviously am about public speaking, I'm kidding, but if it is hard for you to stand up and speak in public, this is often how we do it. So I'd like to share this thing, and if the mic is way down here, the mic is basically rendered null and void. So we really do want to hear what you have to share. It's helpful if you could hold the mic right up near your lips, then we will all hear it. Okay, so it's pretty simple. If there's something that you would like to share, just raise your hand. And the one thing we ask is please, no political pronouncements, just really something personal about your own life.
Button is, good morning, my name's Jane. I've been coming here for about 3 months, and I am just so grateful for this place, and that is what I would like a candle of joy to be lit for. I'm just really grateful to be here. I feel really connected to this community, and I'm especially grateful for the visitors under 20 in the front and the people that brought them, because I didn't realize until I saw you all here how much I miss seeing young people at church. So thank you for being here today.
Yes, with that in mind, we'd like you to move up to the pulpit.
I was thinking about the reading that my son had selected for their wedding, and it was by Rumi. And I had met her, I had met his wife, Alyssa, when I invited them to come to the Christmas party I was having at a friend's apartment in New York. And I was telling him all the wonderful food I was making, and he said, well, she's strictly vegetarian. And I said, I'll make a vegetarian dish, bring her. And but then when I was it was a reading that they selected at their wedding from Rumi. It said, seek and seek again, and you will find a treasure. And I looked over at Alyssa, and I could barely speak. I was just crying. She was such a treasure. They've now been married about 12 years, so I still remember that. She's still a treasure.
So if you're looking for romance, find Rumi.
Hi, I'm Kate. I just want to light a candle of maybe celebration. Sandra Boston has been really sick. She said she was the sickest she's ever felt. And she's feeling better. I think she's on Zoom. But she's back amongst the living, although she didn't come to church today.
It's still virtual living if she's here with us on Zoom.
Hi, this is my first time here. Sorry. I've been to UU Church for a long time, but it's been 8 years since I've been able to come to one in person because we were living overseas. And so I just want to share a joy that the government is open and my husband can come home from Germany. So excited about that.
Welcome.
Thank you. Oh, Carrie. Hi. Thank you.
Matt, do we have anyone on Zoom who'd like to say something? Not right now, okay. Well, I just want to strongly second what Kate said about being so glad, Sandra, that you're feeling better, because you're a bright light in our community.
So I'd like to light a candle of joy this morning for an idea that's been percolating in my conversations with Rob. Next month, when I'm back with you, and I hope you'll come too, I'll be offering thoughts on particular kindnesses that we can offer to others during the holidays. One type of kindness we'll be discussing is random acts of kindness, which we can bestow on people that we know and on people that we don't know. Do you know what that is? Random acts of kindness? Let's say that you're in line at the supermarket and you've got a lot of items in your trolley, and there's somebody behind you who only has a few items. So a random act of kindness would be to say, you go first. Another thing is, we don't usually see our mailman or mailwoman, but wouldn't it be nice to leave a box of goodies in the mailbox for the mail person? So as part of that service, we will be inviting all of us to call out random acts of kindness that we've thought of and just might be willing to offer during the holidays. So please think of a few that you can then call out. Rob, any other examples come to mind of random acts?
It's a very simple one, but it certainly has been meaningful. That, have you ever been in a conversation and both of you want to say something? To simply pause and decide to let the other one go first. To say, no, I want to hear what you have to say. I think it's just a little kindness, but it often really graces a conversation. And a more personal kindness is that, I think it was last month, Jim referenced a book that's been around for a long time called Tuesdays with Morrie. And it's about the journalist Mitch Albom, who had a professor who he greatly venerated, and the professor was kind enough to make it a weekly visit that the two got to hang out with each other on Tuesdays. So I jokingly said to Jim that I want to have Tuesdays with Jimmy, and for the last month or so, we've been having fortnightly Tuesdays with Jimmy. So I'm deeply grateful for your kindness.
And while I'm here, can we light one more candle? Let's light one for Susan Stamberg. Susan Stamberg, who was a founding mother of National Public Radio. Earlier this month, I went down to Washington to officiate her funeral. Susan and her husband Lou were special friends beginning in the 1960s in New Delhi, India, where Lou and I worked together at the USAID. It was Susan, in fact, who introduced me to my first wife. And before I left for Washington, my daughter Mira from that first marriage said to me, "Please tell Josh the son of Susan, please tell Josh that every time I think of his mother, I am grateful to exist. Get it? It was a beautiful and a deeply moving celebration of Susan's life. We shall miss her.
And such a blessing, Jim, that we have you in our midst, and you who then end up doing such an important memorial. No, it's okay. No. Yeah, if you raise your hand and you don't have a joy or concern, it becomes an auction and it's bid $1,000.
Hi, I'm Suzanne. I did a random act of kindness and gave a ride to an immigrant family back a couple of years ago when there were a lot of Haitian families at the Days Inn in Greenfield. And at the end of the ride, we didn't have pieces of paper, but we wrote our phone numbers on our hands, and that began a relationship. The woman in that family is currently looking for another job. She was working at McDonald's, and I'm hoping a light of joy of hope or concern that I'm able to help her find something. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Elle. On a similar note, and also not to be political, but I was laid off 2 times in the last year, 24, and then just again in June. But I have an interview tomorrow, and I'm not that hopeful, but it's something.
We'll take it. Thank you, David, for lighting the candles. Will you light one more candle for all the things that we didn't have a chance to express aloud, both the sorrows and the joys, and for all the things that are still unexpressed and yet to come, but may one day come into the light.
And for chocolate chip cookies.
I'm sorry, and also one final thing, most sacred of all, chocolate chip cookies, without which life itself would be impossible. All right, so we are up to our closing hymn, number 318, reminding us of our unity, we would be one. with love and justice, strive to make us free. Matt, quick request to see if anyone else has joined on Zoom, or just repeat the names of those on Zoom.
Absolutely. This morning we have Carlin and Tom, Ellen Blanchett, Gary and Christy, Link Hurst, Marion Murphy, and Sandra joining us.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to you all. So glad you asked, Joan. That's an addition to what we shared at the beginning, so good thought on your part. Jim, would you share the benediction and then return to the piano for the postlude? Fortunately, Jim does not charge for commuting.
Let's take a moment of silence just to think about the strangers. Let's take just a moment of silence to think about the strangers who we have encountered in our lives and the ways we have been able to welcome them and the ways we wish to welcome them in the future. Amen.
So the penultimate, which means second to last, it's a really cool word. I was impressed when I was a boy when I heard that word. The penultimate part of today's gathering, the ultimate being refreshments, is if there are any important announcements that we want to share. We've got people here who have some very similar interests, and we also have people who can offer us things that we may not be aware of and be helpful for us to hear about. I will model. This very evening, a wonderful political activist and folk singer, Charlie King, and a similarly very gifted folk singer named Colleen Catau, who does many of her songs in Spanish, and a guy I just met recently playing on the street at Stone Soup. It's interesting, your sermon is about immigrants, and I think immigrants arrive in different garbs, but sometimes a street musician is a kind of an immigrant, and it's lovely to be able to house him this evening in this concert, which will be at the Cherry Hill Co-Housing Community in Amherst, Mass, starting at 7. If you're interested or need any other information, I'll be around. Please come and ask me. Do we have other folks who have a community announcement? I'm coming right over, Robin.
Hi, I have 3 announcements. Well, first is that last night I happened to be watching on YouTube some coverage of a protest that's happening in Washington, where there was maybe hundreds of people that were wrapping crime scene tape around part of the White House, around the bordering sidewalk. And it looked like it was a peaceful and non and a very well organized action. And they're calling for this to happen, I guess, tomorrow, and then the following Monday, and then maybe the one after that. But anyway, I think the group is called Resist Fascism, and they basically spoke very eloquently about everybody needs to come here. And as much as I know we can't all go there, they are doing something that I think is important, so I just wanted to announce it. So just look into it, and if you or anyone you know can be part of that, I think they are building momentum to get more visibility. They're going to continue to try to get enough people to wrap crime scene tape around the entire White House. So I think it's an important symbolic action that they're saying they're going to stay there until Trump is out, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, personal announcements. One is that I'm going to be looking for 1 or 2 housemates at my home in Greenfield. It's a lovely place. If you or anyone you know might be looking for a place. Also, I have a group that some of you know about called Spiral Up, which is a group for people who deal with depression, and I'll be starting it up again soon. If you'd like to know more, see me.
Christine, where are you? There's a program, we're going to have a panel discussion. ODNAC people are coming here to talk about truth and history. But anyway, it's in the order of worship, the times.
Okay, announcements going once.
Actually,
Going
we
twice.
have one from Zoom,
Oh,
Rob. Ellen would like to share something with us, so I'll ask her to unmute now. And Ellen, you can feel free to speak.
Hi, thank you. I do want to add that before I make my announcement, that my grandfather came from Russia in 1898. And so my privilege is being here before everything started. Oh, my dog, unfortunately, is barking. I would just like to bring to everyone's attention, we have not had a social justice committee meeting since the beginning of the year. Molly Chambers and I have both been ill, and I'm going to try to come to a membership or board meeting and talk to the board about this. But we are going to need members of the congregation to come together and save this group, because the Social Justice Committee is really important to the work of this church. So that's my pitch for tonight. Thank you.
Good morning, all. My name is David Levitt. Kate, am I correct? Our tomorrow night's board meeting is to be encompassed in this afternoon's retreat? No, we are still having the board meeting tomorrow. Okay. And strangers are just a friend we have yet to meet, and they might have chocolate chip cookies with them.
We're about to clear out for something good, namely refreshments and fellowship. Thank you very much for joining us.